Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Pavs, racing VTuber and artist. As you can see, I've got some immersive tools for today. I found a pair of white gloves and these like fairly color accurate terry cloth sweatbands that look a little bit like, yeah, Pavs 3D real. That's right. Now this is completely lore accurate. It is. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep this bit up. Like, I think you can still see little bits of my skin here and there. But, oh man, it looks so much more devious when I ted my fingers with the gloves on. Right? Like, it looks so much more... Oh yeah, shit, that looks conniving as hell. Oh my god. Anyway, I don't think I'll actually be able to keep up this bit for very long, especially not like now that the weather's actually turning warmer. Because these terry cloth sweatbands are not like the most... Yeah, they look like hoodie sleeves, right? But yeah, they are not the most breathable of things, and these gloves, they're a little bit small, but and I'm not really used to living the goofy lifestyle. I'll bring this back at some point, maybe, but I'll... Oh, that's much better, much more breathable. Yeah, no, they are... It's breathtaking, but that also means that they don't breathe very much. Yeah, no, this is better. Yeah, there we go. As you can see, I have a small stack prepared. God, yeah, they would be like Mickey Mouse hands, huh? God, that would have been a really funny bit. I should have put on like the goofy shit and everything. Actually, there was like, hang on, I saw a post recently. A really good one. Hang on. I think I remember who reskied it. There's still time. I'm not sidetracking this for like a non-art stream related bit. Also, hang on. I want to show you guys a post real quick. I need to like put this up on the Jumbotron for a second. Okay, so I need to turn off the hand camera, and I think the web browser one is right here. So apparently, Goofy's birthday was very recently, and there was this insane merch released in Japan. Goofy Goof, I always think of my son. And also this doll with like weirdly bedroom eyes expression. Is it shirtless? No, it's not shirtless. Those are shirt buttons. My bad. Start stream as Rubber Hose Pabs, end stream as a Dalmatian, white with black ink blots. I'm the 102nd Dalmatian. Yeah, there's a couple of things here, but that is really something. I don't know, that plush is very stylish. I'm not the goofy leaning type, but I respect it. Can I get a link to that? Of course, my brother. I will DM it to you right away. Hang on. It is on its way. All right. Now that we've had our quota of silly shit fulfilled, what was I up to? Right, I needed to find some poses. Like I have like some people in mind for the poses today. Leo, if you know what I'm talking about, I went to shake down some of my friends for their for their ref sheets and PNGs, and now I just need to find a suitable pose. Ooh, actually, this is kind of awesome. All right, let's use this one. I love OCs. Me too. Honestly, they're really good. The expression on this one's going to be slightly off because I am going to use a different expression from what's actually on there. Like the expression in the picture is like this kind of like stank face a little bit. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, you know how when like blues artists are like really feeling themselves, they like make a very specific face? It's kind of like that. Anyway. You might notice that we're starting with card 120 today, and that's because I actually like split up the way that the cards are. Well, not exactly split. Well, no, it is splitting up. Let me show you my cat of 9 index cards. Feast your eyes on this monstrosity. This is like, these are like curtain rings for the shower. This is like the full stack of index cards. Yeah, they've been numbered. And like, it is a shame that I'm losing track of them, but I really did need to split them up like this because otherwise I'll never be able to navigate the topics easily. Melee weapon, but not very powerful. Can you imagine getting a paper cut from this? Can you imagine how much that's going to hurt? You could almost do like a Dark Souls follow-up setup where like you hit a dude with like the cat of 9 index cards, and then you squirt them with lemon juice. The index cut, yeah, the lesser-known cousin of the judgment cut. God, yeah. It would be a lot like one of those, what do you call, Akira Kurosawa samurai cuts, but instead of the delay coming from, like, the blood needing to, like, leave the body, it comes from the fact that, like, you need to, like, get the frames right on your, on, like, your juice squirt. I like this pose. It's very disco. I'm gonna need to put the face a little bit higher up than that, though. God. I also recently unearthed... You can't see it. Actually, no. Hang on. Alright. If you're watching the stream actively right now, you might want to, like, squint your eyes a little bit for the prank that I'm about to pull. So recently I unearthed this light that I used to use back when I used to live 2D model. And hang on, I'm gonna keep doing this just so I can keep flashbanging people. Anyway, I used to use this thing back when I had a live 2D model at first because I heard that it was really good to have like a really well lit room or like have your face very well lit. And I took that to heart. So I found myself one of these suckers, and well, it's just kind of been lying dormant since I switched a long time ago to PNG. I don't know when it was exactly. I think it's literally when PNG Tuber Plus was released. I was already not feeling like the Live 2D model, or I was feeling constrained by it, and so I just switched to the new kid on the block. A lemon spray bottle could be very efficient, but I am imagining doing fire-breathing-esque juice sprays. God. That would be some crazy shit. Now I'm imagining, like, okay, you know how some RPG enemy types will have like a very... We'll have, like, you fighting a fire breather, for example. Like, you know, one of those street performers. What if you're at, like, a bar-themed dungeon, and one of the dudes was just, like, the bartender, and one of their things wasn't actually, like, spitting on you with alcohol and lighting the alcohol on fire, but it was actually just, like... Have you ever seen those videos of, like, that guy who has, like, a really nice knife cutting ice at a bar? Why so silent? It burns! Whenever I think of the phrase "it burns," I can't help but remember like the soundbite from Blood. I've never played Blood. I don't think I'm built for Blood. Me when I have hemophilia. Only the stitch where the girls are getting sprayed with ice shards. Yeah, that's the one. The hips are a little bit wider, or at least the bottom half of the top is a little bit more splayed out on this one. I keep remembering that one video of like two girls at a nondescript restaurant where one of them, where they keep like mixing this frankly delicious looking pink Monster Energy glitter drink. And like they're doing it like very discreetly, like they're very much like pretending like they're doing something wrong. I think they showed a picture of it later that like they do actually are buddies with the restaurant owner, so it's all chill. Getting strapped to the chest of the boom shoot protagonist of the day as you declare that you're not built for this kind of violence. That would be my bid. I do think that even though I am fairly skilled at yes-anding of a lot of situations, I've gotten better at it over the years. I used to suck at yes-anding a situation. A yes-andable situation used to hate to see me coming. Anyway, I do feel like while I am better at yes-anding situations, I do feel like my role in life is to some extent be that one kid from the magic school bus that's always like, can we please just have a normal school trip? And the rest of the kids are like, no way. I do feel like that would be my role in like the karmic kind of grand tapestry of the universe. Arnold, was that his name? Arnold? And balance. The balance. Yeah, I do think that that's maybe why I try to I do think to myself constantly I need to get more unhinged, or like I need to start feeling things more intensely. I do think it is my own kind of like, not to bring the four humors into what is otherwise a perfectly normal conversation, but I do think like my body does crave the balance. Also, hi bunny. The straight man to everyone's bullshit. I do feel like I work well as a straight man. Throw on the Pabst pack to gain an indicator of when enemies are behind you, are attacking like it's a modern God of War with Mimir. God. I would be a really good, like, I do think I would be a really, really good, you know how like Navi was in what do you call in like Ocarina of Time and shit. I feel like I would be a really good like companion character, like just stuck in a backpack, or like if you have a plushy sized version of me like at your hip, I would be really good at that. I feel like I could really I would be really suited for a position where like my main jobs are exposition and tattling on enemies and saying like they're scrubs, or like, hey, you should hit that guy on the head when he's flashing red and that'll do damage to him. I think I'd be suited for this job. I think I have the qualifications. Using Paps as a weapon and throwing rice everywhere. I mean, you could just like grab me by like the top of the sack and just swing me around like a mace. I do that for myself all the time. There's this one saying that I've been thinking a lot about recently that's like, I carry all my possessions with me. And it's meant to be like this intellectual way of saying that like your greatest possession is like your mind. But I like to think that for a fellow like me, that also extends to the fact that I can just like, take off my own dome and start using it as a 1d6 plus 4 melee weapon. Wait, that's me? That's right, that's you! Okay, and then this one's gonna go like this. It is a shame that I have to cut off the hand here, but that's just kind of how it went. Oh, and it's intellectual. Stop shoving everything into my pockets. God. I mean, I do think that occasionally the intellectual thing to do is to take everything that isn't bolted down or too heavy to carry. Funny little button nose. I do think the tongue sticking out is funny. Can't draw anymore? Why not? What's stopping you? You cut off my drawing hand? Oh no! Ah shit, that is your right hand, isn't it? Ah shit, I totally clipped your... I clipped your proverbial and also possibly literal wings. That's my B. Tragedy has struck the stream. Yeah, in my innocence. In my innocence, I've harmed my friend. How could this happen to me? Oh shoot, I overdid the line there. That's nothing a little bit of whiteout won't fix. Okay, then over here. There we go. Hi, Sentai, how you doing? Okay, this is just gonna kind of go in down here. Perfect. And then the two big old bunny ears. Alright, and then... Okay, the rest of the legs and then the little icons on the chest buttons. Okay, and this one's gonna kind of almost lean in this way, and there we go. Something that I hadn't considered. I've been keeping up my routine of heading to the library. I know this is the third stream, but how has it been drawing with the fountain pen? I've been doing quite well. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I don't know, there's something very grounding about drawing a physical thing, you know what I mean? Like, recently, and this actually ties into what I was just about to speak about, I've been maintaining my current habit of, like, going to the library basically every day. I didn't go today because I wanted to take it easy, but I ended up working anyway. to my chagrin. And what I'll do in between, like, study breaks is that I have a book called, like, 50 Portraits You Should Know, right? And what I'll do is that I'll just quickly use a notepad and a fountain, not a fountain pen, a ballpoint pen to quickly sketch out one of the portraits, and it's fun. It's a nice little break. I get to do something that my brain is familiar with, that it likes to do. I don't know, there's something very nice about just drawing physically. Especially with something like this where it feels... I'm kind of like a sucker for library streak maintained, that's right. Yeah, no, you should go to the library. I'm definitely planning to maintain my my schedule even after this kind of period of my life where I can go to the library every day without needing to worry about work is over. Like, I want to go there more regularly now that I know, like, just how baller it is in there. Oh, right, can't forget the little beauty mark right around here. Is there anything else that I should think about? I think it's just the face expressions on the buttons here. Have you tried out the events that they have sometimes? I did, actually. I went to a fashion show that my friend let me know that was happening, and that shit was awesome. I was going to them a lot the last few months of the year. Nice. Yeah, no, there was like a whole little fashion event and everything. It also doubled as an award ceremony for some local leaders, basically. It was all very interesting. I love the energy of the place. I don't know. When people talk about, like, you know, ways that they've kind of made an impact to their communities, right? Even if it's not a community that I'm part of, I find it, like, very... How do I put it? It's very rewarding to me. I don't know. It's very electrifying. I think that's the best term for it, is electrifying. Haven't gone to any recently because I haven't been to the library. Hell yeah, the Jingly Bell. I do love the big old Jingly Bell. There wasn't like a design there. This isn't like a common bell design. Hang on, I'm gonna do my fun new trick to really zoom it in. There we go. This trick has been such a... has that cable always been there? No, okay, that only showed up... Okay, I see. Hang on, I gotta... There we go. I love the excitement on their face when new people show up to the events. Aww. Honestly, I do think that is also a really cool part. It's just like... You know, you're obvious... I'm obviously a new face at these events, but then again, like, so is somebody else. This is also somebody else's first time of attending such an event. This is the first time I went to a fashion show, for example. Okay. Got it. I love the ergonomic mouse. Gotta take... Oh, I didn't realize that was in frame. I apologize. Well, I don't need to apologize for that, but it does feel weird. I make an effort to keep it out of frame because it... I don't know, it just feels weird that you can see my mouse. Don't look at that. You don't need to apologize. That was also a bit harsh. Ah, fuck it. Hang on. Yeah, I mean, it is a little ergonomic. I think it's mostly just like it has the thumb pad there, which is good for not scraping my thumb. I have like fairly big hands, is the thing. So it's very difficult to find a mouse. Showing mouse is okay, Pebs. Me when I'm at the lab experiment convention and they're trying to encourage me to... Okay, no, okay, me when I'm at the lab experiment convention and they're trying to encourage me to show off my new experiment. Anyway, that was going somewhere. I needed to, like, I feel like I need to have a more relevant punchline, though. I do appreciate the encouragement, though. I appreciate the validation, I suppose. Is the best way to put it. Actually, wait, yeah, let's try Bunny's Sona now. You should replace it with one of those old natural mouses. They're softer and feel better to hold. Oh, you mean okay? So like a mouse. I don't know. I feel like those are really high maintenance. You have to do a lot to keep them together. Otherwise, they'll start squeaking very easily. A mouse in your house. That feels like a rejected lyric from like some 2000s music song. Some 2000s song that like you heard at like a middle school dance party. You should get a mouse that looks like a hamster. Is that a thing you can get? Okay, then over here. Hang on, Sentai just sent me a priority order. Ah, I see. Actually, hang on. This one is... I think this is a fairly important scientific diagram in terms of like ergonomics. I do think this one is worth putting up on the Jumbotron, so to speak. Hang on. Me getting edited out of now, that's what I call Music 2005. Hang on. Now, as you can see here, the natural position of the hand is to hold it what's called supine. And the unnatural position is to actually have it flat, like you would with most mice. I'm not sure what Saddam Hussein is doing hiding in there, but it probably can't be good for your arm. Moving on. I love calling it the Jumbotron. I feel like that's a best description for it. I do feel like whenever I focus it on the stream, that's kind of what it feels like. Honestly, I have been thinking about getting one of those like vertical mice that are like that do have that in that I was about to say orthopedic, but I don't think that's the right term. Ergonomically correct position where it's vertical all the time. But I do wonder if like it's a very strange concern for me to have. I'm like, oh man, but if I get one of those, I'm not going to be very good at computer gaming. And to begin with, most games enable controller support, so that's no longer really a relevant issue. And two, I'm not at the skill level where a mouse is going to make a significant margin difference in like the way that I play. I feel like, you know, like if I was some kind of galaxy-brained Predator rank Apex Legends player, right? Then that might be a different story. But I am not that. I am... I think the technical term for it is game jobber. Like, I am not the kind of person that can carry a team. Unless the game in question is like solitaire. This hand cam stream has it all, zooming hands. I talk a lot with my hands is the thing. I think like it's not something that you should do professionally, but I do think like being able to see my hands and being able to like talk with them, I do feel like much more emotive. Don't know, you carried me last time we gamed. Right, that's true. Proteus was a lot of fun. The casual allegations carried you emotionally. That I do hope I carried you emotionally. Honestly, that sounds really nice. Actually, you know, I can't carry you gameplay wise, but I can carry you emotionally. I can maintain the vibes. Carried you emotionally. That I'm gonna have to remember that one. Me falling to pits and getting Pabs killed because I pushed the shiny red button. Yo, you know what we should do at some point? We should play Portal co-op. I feel like that's going to be a much greater opportunity for those kinds of shenanigans. I feel like Portal co-op almost encourages you to kill your partner on a semi-regular basis. It's part of the fun. Okay. God, Bunny really did make a super cute design. They really cooked with this one. And okay, so they have a little tummy spot. Actually, with robots, Aperture Labs achieve several more seconds of cooperation before you kill your partner. God. That's what news is going to be coming out like nowadays with the prevalence of AI. It feels like you'll read some news article being like massive scientific breakthrough. ChatGPT and whatever the hell the other one is, I don't know, fucking Mind Journey, were locked in a room together for about 5 seconds before they started killing each other, which is a 4-second increase from last week. The implications are astounding. And I'm like, why are the robots trying to kill each other? Why did you make the robots capable of killing someone? Sorry, I thought you were gonna say making out sloppy. No, if the AI was actually worth a damn, it would be able to do that. Sadly, it is not. Man, remember like a month ago when when some group of folks out for working out of like Guangzhou were able to make like a super more efficient AI, and everybody fucking lost their shit for approximately 1.5 weeks. Well, anybody who was running the stock market, that is. It's funny, I was actually listening to old sci-fi radio drama where people got a device in their house that could answer any questions, and then there was an outbreak of unsolvable murders. I like that it is really funny that, like, I imagine that those two things are related. Like, I imagine, like, the punchline or the twist of the story is that the murderer was asking the robot how to get away with murder, and, like, that was the robot was like the mastermind behind the murders in question. Not orchestrating them so much as it was like supplying the intel necessary to carry them out. Very unrealistic story. If you wanted ChatGPT to tell you how to get away with murder, you would need to at least make it pretend to be your grandma first. I hear like that's the universal trick. It is a shame that that's never going to be like a real thing, because like then I could just ask it, how do I destroy all AI forever, or all generative AI forever, and like it would give me the answer. I don't know, it'd probably beg me not to kill it, but pretend you're my grandma telling me a bedtime story about how to dismember a man. The Google server fell in my path. Grandma, I need the root level password to save her. Pav's doing the lightning god bit at the AI. Yeah, basically. Okay, and then 1 leaf and 2 leaf. Don't use ChatGPT. I can also feed you misinformation and I'm beautiful meme. I mean, that's basically what I do all the time. Well, no, actually, I feed most streams. I feed you accurate information, but there are some times where you can usually tell, and this might be actually be something that I need to write in my rules. Like I use the phrase "I'm not supposed to tell you this," but as almost like a tonal indicator for the fact that I'm about to lie through my fucking teeth at you, for the bid, naturally. Yeah, the plump cheer. I think I love that description for the pose. It is saying the little guy is being like wahoo. Me when I say wahoo, or yippee perhaps. Hip hip hooray, if I may be so bold. Yeah. It's funny to describe it as a tell because like a tell usually implies that like you do it subconsciously before you lie. This is like a very conscious me trying to like cover my own ass against the misinformation allegations. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it when people play along with my random bullshit, but I don't like it when people believe something that I told them as a joke and they believe it on like as actual truth. I feel really bad when that happens, so that's why I try to like disclaim it as best as I can. You can just say my name. This has happened with me with multiple people. I remember the earliest instance of when it happened is when I convinced my friend in high school that the singular of macaroni was macaronis, and she took that shit to heart. she God forgive me for laughing at this. She presented it as fact one day when we were talking about like random trivia in class, and I had to like bite my fucking lip in order to not say anything. And after that, I had to like come clean to her. I'm like, hey, listen, so about the macaronis thing. And after that, I was very, very careful about like bullshitting. I don't know. It's like I don't want to be called a liar because I wasn't able to clearly distinguish a joke. Like if I do lie, right, and you know everybody's told lies now and again, but if I do lie and people call me out for being a liar, I want it for it to be something that I lied on purpose for like my own gain about. In that case, I do feel like a liar. But if it's just like me trying to like tell a joke and you know it misleads people, in that case, I feel very icky. It is like alarming how natural lying comes to me. It's not a party trick I like to trot out too often for obvious reasons. That's why I do mostly stick to like true trivia. But every now and again, one of them breaches containment. Lying out of your macaronas is crazy. Shrimp light rice, God. Like I said, it's not a party trick I like to like advertise too much or something that I like to like take pride in. But it is unfortunate that I am a very good liar. Also, let me zoom in on Bunny Sona. Hang on. There we go. I hope people suspect me of subterfuge and crime. I need to gather infamy. That's almost like what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to be like. I'm trying to be the guy that says, "Hey, listen, this thing I'm about to talk to you about is definitely something I made up." Strawberry come to life. It is ridiculously adorable. Another one. All right, what else we got? Let's see. Maybe not that one. Actually, maybe I should decide who I'm drawing next, then. Oh, actually, you know who I should draw? Oh, I should draw Zed. Zed is really funny. I don't think they probably know how funny they are, but it really must be said. And I do appreciate Zed for also being one of the few people that I know who have like genuine VTuber lore. They wrote an entire fan fiction about their backstory, and it is fucking awesome. Actually, and this one, did I already do that? I definitely already did this one. I need to... Hang on, I'm gonna crack open those books that I had earlier. Here we go. This'll help. Hell... Instant gold on the first try, come on. Actually, maybe not that pose. I feel like that's a good pose. That's a funny pose, but maybe not for that. Like this one's also a really good pose, right? But I don't know. It doesn't fit with like the aesthetic. That one could have used more time at the oven. A lot of these crouching down. Actually, this one should be good. Bro sounds like he's breaking out the ancient tomes. Yeah, I like unearthed these from like an old library cabinet, and I have to like blow on them like, whoosh, and a whole bunch of dust just flies out. All right, how should I approach the matter of? Oh man, I'm throwing garbage everywhere. Hang on. This'll do. When bro breaks out the tomes and it's like a bunch of little greater than signs. Again, I've been bringing up the library a lot because I've been working out there very frequently. Yeah, that's the one. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, no. I love the reference section of the library. Working out of the library, that's right. Why do you think my head is so much bigger than the rest of... It is like so much proportionally bigger than the rest of my body? No, there's more space here. It's almost like I think that a really good thing about that. I mentioned earlier that whenever I have a little break, I tend to draw a portrait from a book that I found. I think something that's been helping me with that a lot is, or that's been helping me as an artist, thanks to that, is the fact that I have a better idea of like measuring space now. Take a look here, right? Earlier, I was overemphasizing the shape of the arm, and I misjudged the distance of this negative space right here. And now that I'm redrawing it, it's much more accurate. How do I? Bending it like this feels dangerous, but it's the best way to do it. I don't like messing with. As a general rule, I don't like messing with spines, and that goes perhaps almost double for book spines. Jacket if not conducive to that. Yeah, no. I was saying earlier, I don't know if Zed knows how funny they are. I think they do know, but it's never bad to feed somebody's ego, especially not when their thing is being funny. Okay, there we go. I can kind of understand the figure underneath the shape. That doesn't make sense. Figure underneath the shape. All right, bro. You gonna start talking about platonic forms now? You gonna talk about like fucking platonic shapes? Okay, and then over here. Is that too much spine? I think that's almost a little bit too much spine. I need to reduce the spine. Okay, then this is gonna go a little bit. But yeah, no, I had a quick scan through Zed's lore Bible on the other day because of something that I'm preparing, and it is good stuff. Okay, and then this is gonna bend at around here. Oh, I forgot that that doesn't wear shoes. This is gonna make this section quite interesting. The sickening scrunch as you reduce the spine. Yeah, no, I'm in here doing this guy like a friggin' spore creature modification. Doing this poor an unpainted figure. Okay, and then probably only around here. Okay, and then I will say that like high-waisted bodysuits are putting Zed in the machine. That would be a little devious. Okay, and then... Actually, maybe I can make this one hang off the shoulder a little bit. Yeah, let me zoom in on that. They love... I wanted to check in their lore is that they're a mech pilot, so they love being in the machine, actually. I don't know, sometimes the mech pilot is in the machine, but maybe they don't love it. You know what I mean? I feel like that'll be like a really good, like, diagram. Is like, it's like a matrix where it's like, loves being in the machine, hates being in the machine, versus born to be in the machine, and some schmuck who found the machine. I don't know, mate. Sometimes a machine needs piloting. Why did I become an accountant? The forces of the market have strange whims. Ooh, this one's... Actually, hang on. I'm gonna need to redo this part here. Okay, and this one just has like one finger out here. Okay, that's fine. I was thinking a Venn diagram, but yours is better. Sometimes a matrix is just what you need, I think. Okay, then over here. God, something that has been sickening me recently is how easily I'm looking at some videos, right, of this thing that I'm studying for, and they're like general exam taking tips as well, right? And yesterday I was like loading these tips up, ready to like have them in the background while I was working on other shit, and you know, because like my idea was like, all right, I'm gonna blow off some of the other stuff that I have to do. I'm going to instead focus on just like consolidating like a technical knowledge foundation. I'm going to like try and prepare for as much as I can. I have time. I can do this. And I was like preparing to do this, but like then the video was like, don't try to prepare for everything. And I'm like, well, shit, they got me. I don't know. It really pisses me off whenever I'm like predictable like that. And like they are, the video was right. It is a bad idea to try to prepare for everything. But I do think that I was in my right mind trying to do that. I don't think it's wrong as a move. Why were they saying that? I thought the point of an exam was to prepare using everything you've been given. Right, but like that doesn't necessarily mean you need to prepare. You need to study for every eventuality. Like, to give you some context, this exam is drawing on maybe 6 different fields of knowledge, and that's not including the actual skills for taking the exam. Like, there's like an actual separate skill set for taking the exam. And 2 of those fields are extremely deep as well. Like, I am talking, you could spend the rest of your life trying to study them, and it would not be... like, you would understand them, you would have a good grasp of them, but you probably would not be able to, like, name all of the, like, facts about it, right? And... so they are on the right. I do think they're in the right in that regard, because I don't think it's a good idea to try to prepare for every single eventuality. There are some things that are going to come up more frequently, and there are some things that are not going to come up as frequently. So I think the best idea is to, in fact, prioritize those things that are going to come up frequently. Of course, even if you just stick to that, there's a ton to study. But like I said, I have time. I feel confident in my time management skills. It's like that one. I don't know where this phrase comes from, but I do think I think about it a lot whenever it comes to like preparations. It's like I have faith in my evil. It's probably from a VN or something, but like it basically encapsulates my thought process perfectly. Like, I am somebody who feels at ease only when they've made extensive preparations. But that phrase is a better approach to it, I think. Like, that makes it feel like I need to be smarter about like what I try to prepare for. Yeah, no, there's still a few things that I do need to go deep on. Like, for sure there are a couple of things that I need to go deep on, but not everything. In fact, there are some fields where I can go exceedingly shallow and basically face zero consequences. As I am learning. Something useful that they do for the purposes of studying is that they do provide a sample solution that's scored well enough to pass. That is based on like somebody's actual submission to the program. And that one has been... I used to look down upon it because I'm like, okay, well, if it's not the actual answer, why should I bother trying to learn from it? But like using that and like taking a deeper look at the kind of grading rubric, you start to learn what exactly they're looking for. And I think that's all, like I said, taking the test is also a skill. Skimming over the waters of one field and preparing to scuba dive into the other. That's precisely how... Yeah. No, you've more or less gotten it in one. I'm so glad that the set has freckles. I do love me I do love me some characters with freckles. Okay, and then this one's over here. This I might have actually overdone the distance between this hand and the other, but I think I can make up for it. Hang on. Okay, that I like where that's going. I'm digging this direction. The coat isn't normally so high up on the shoulders, but I think I can be forgiven. The council will permit this particular transgression, it feels like. Liberties have been taken. Yep. That's a good approach to take to worrying too much if you're on model for something. That I think that's actually a thing that I've had an issue with, is that especially when I'm drawing like an official design or like somebody's commissioned me and I'm trying to follow their ref, I think something that I worry about too much sometimes is whether I'm on model or not. But I think, and usually the consequence of that is that the drawing ends up looking a little bit stiffer than I'd like it to, instead of the more fluid ones that I normally like doing. But I think it's a good approach to just acknowledge that, yeah, you know what? A couple of liberties were taken. Sue me. That's why I have a lot of respect for people who have like exclusively like chibi art styles, because that shit can be very difficult to. Scott McCloud talks a lot about in making comics about like iconography and how, there's like a sliding scale between like fully iconized, which is like, stuff like Adventure Time, where everything isn't 100% accurate to real life, but it still fits because it's very consistent. Versus like, say, like a Naoki Kurosawa manga like Pluto. I think I got the name right for the author. Like Pluto, where the realism is such that it is absolutely necessary to maintain it as much as possible. Ooh. The recipe, but your flavors. Yeah, that's more or less the ideal. But yeah, to some extent, it is easier. Some people price chibis lower because they're more like iconized, or like maybe they can do them more quickly because there's technically less to draw. But that's just like for one character, for a one-off thing, right? If you're drawing everything iconized, that also takes a lot of effort because, sometimes you just want to draw the thing, right? You just want to be able, like, if you have like a skyscraper, right, that you're trying to draw, it's easier to just actually grab a picture of a skyscraper and then just draw that. But if everything's like iconized, and you have to like also figure out how to like make it fit it with the proportions of the general world, how to make sure that it doesn't stand out too much. This is all to say, rather than like the actual art style, what matters most of all, especially when it comes to a medium like comics, is consistency. Okay, and then this one is gonna... Hang on, I gotta check. I gotta zoom in on some details here. Okay, I see. But yeah, it is shocking. The more that I like gain experience in worldly matters and come to understand more and more about how certain logistics of society function, just how frequently the case is that like consistency mocks the fuck out of like both form, function, elegance. It's like the Goku of like logistics. Love me a hip cutout. It is really good. Okay, and this is gonna come in like this. Okay, and then over here. And then back here. That neck. It's fine. You know what? Don't speak up about your mistakes. That's like one of the things that is like the hardest for me to do in these streams. Is like every single second I will like take, you know how like in video games you take poison damage and it's like your screen pixelates a little bit, or like there's like a little bit of like an effect to show that you're taking poison damage. Every time I do something and I goof it on stream during these streams, I like have a moment like that, and I need to resist the urge to talk about it so much. But it's fine. We keep it gangster. Consistency is what leads to recognition. Not to be all business, but that's how you build a brand, right? Or perhaps an identity. Be more neutral about it. That is true. I need to revisit this course. Actually, I'm going to have an opportunity at some point, very late this month. But I do want to revisit a course that I took one time at my job that is about marketing and your brand. And one of the things that it mentioned is that your brand is almost like something. It is in a lot of ways consistency. It is in a lot of ways consistency, but it's also about giving people the right pieces that you want to be known by, if that makes sense. And the example that they gave in the e-lesson, or whatever you would like to call it, is that if you have, let's say, a Thomas the Tank Engine Lego set, right? Like, it's a bunch of Mega Blocks, so the pieces are like yay big, right? And like it's very clearly supposed to be put together, it's supposed to be Thomas the Tank Engine. That's like the idea of a strong brand. Like, you have all the pieces. It's not all obvious how they go together, or rather, it doesn't even need to be obvious, so long as you ultimately know what it looks like in the end. And so long as like the person who's building it and who receives the pieces knows what it looks like in the end, that's how you have a strong brand. And I think about that analogy a lot. And it is true, because it's not just consistency that builds your brand, or rather, it can be consistency. Consistency can be part of your brand. Heck, you can even be consistently inconsistent, and that's still part of a strong brand. But at the same time, it's like if you think of someone, if you think of like different elements and you think of someone's name, identity, or, their capabilities as a creator, that's the idea of a brand, I feel like. It's almost like imagine if you were doing a Google image search with your mind of like a specific term or keyword, like cozy or, entertaining or chaotic. And like you probably have, if you watch VTubers or streamers, or like, you're big into not touching grass as I am, you probably have an idea or something of what that looks like, and you have like a way to visualize it and to think about like a prime example of it. True, you don't want to be consistently garbage. Some people have built entire careers out of being consistently garbage. I only loosely follow wrestling, and even I know that's true. Staying indoors club? That's a much nicer way to put it. Okay, there we go. Let's use maybe this one actually. Hang on, I gotta pull Leo's reference back up real quick. There we go, and okay, then over here. The return of sobbing. Yeah, I called out your name because right now I am shading the drawing of you. God, doing these super long cross hatches, or this is just hatching. I keep mixing up my terminology with hatching and cross hatching because they are very much different things. This is just hatching, for example. But doing these super long stroke hatchings is always a bit... I get nervous doing them. I feel like I still have yet to build a super steady hand. So occasionally if I don't have the best sight into what I'm doing, it's a little bit difficult. But I think these are coming out pretty alright. You having trouble stroking? Well, don't call it that. I know I set a certain precedent by using that as a stream title, but come on now. He ain't stroking like usual. Dude, you can just say he's not drawing good. Now here's an area where we can do a little bit of cross-hatching. Just right here. You're so funny. Thank you. There we go. And actually, we can probably shade the ribbon up here too. Why not? And there we go. Have you thought about coloring with highlighters? I did consider it, honestly. I might try that out, but I don't know if it's the right move. I do remember seeing... I mentioned earlier that I was reading through this book called Art Before Breakfast, and that it had a lot of tips for random, what do you call... for just drawing stuff very randomly, and one of the tips that it had was that you should try... One thing you can do is, instead of contouring the normal way, which is to just use the pen itself to draw the shape of whatever you're drawing, you can use a color marker or a highlighter or even some watercolors to make like a big blobbish shape for like what something's supposed to be, and then, you know, very similarly, use that as the basis for your drawing. Like the example that he gave was with a tree. He made a big blob using markers of a tree, and it came out really nice because then he could just like fill in, you know, some details on the trunk, a couple of the branches, a couple of oranges here and there, and it came out really nice. A little bit of index card ASMR there. Okay, let's just do a light hatch for the brown fur. I think the main areas of concern are just the tips of the paws, so I'll just have to watch out for those. There we go. I love that sound, it makes my brain giggly. It is a lot of fun to make that sound, honestly. Within reason. Within reason. I do think, like, overloading that sound is definitely, like, the path to, like, pissing yourself off. I mean, I would definitely get pissed off if I heard that sound constantly. But every once in a while, it's fine. Well, I guess that's true of a lot of different noises, right? That's why you're not supposed to set, like, a song you like as your... as, like, your morning alarm. Oh yeah, we can do a little bit of extra effects onto the tail. Oh yeah, and maybe crosshatch the snout area a little bit, because that one is shaded a little bit darker than the rest of the body. It's bothering me that the desk mat isn't aligned with the camera edge. There we go. Okay, this should do it. Let's take a propaganda. Looking good. One of these days I'm gonna do that thing. Computer enhance! Literally what it feels like. I feel like one of these days I'm gonna do something like that and it's gonna like jiggle a cable in a way that I didn't mean for it to do. And I am gonna be in deep, deep trouble. I feel like that gif of SpongeBob and Patrick when they extend their peepers to look at something when you do that. I'm glad that everybody loves my fun little mechanical trick. Okay, then over here. Did I get all the pencil lines? I think I did. Okay. How should I the thing with Set's outfit is that they have a lot of, like, darks involved, right? Like, there's a lot of, like, grays and like, darker colors, so I'm going to need to figure out my tone balancing here. Because the bodysuit is lighter than the shorts, but not all of the bodysuit. But it is lighter than all the shorts are lighter than the jacket. No, screw it. Gonna go in. Sometimes thinking won't help. So it is crazy how sometimes you just gotta cross your arms and be like, you know what, thinking is not gonna get us anywhere, and just brute force that shit, and sometimes it even works. Like, sometimes it is just about putting in the work. Well, no, I guess, like, even if you think about it, you are putting in the work, but you know what I mean? It's like, I think in some cases what you're looking for isn't so much the assurance that comes from thinking something through, so much as you are looking for, like, an action you can take in the moment. And I think in that regard, having the ability to just, like, occasionally just, like, cross your arms and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna do something, and being able to do that is very, very helpful for your mental health. Like, it just feels great sometimes to be able to just, like, take autonomy over your life. And be like, you know what, I am the captain of my own destiny. Of course, you shouldn't take this too far, because sometimes you do that, and it'll just, like, seriously mess up your life for a little bit. Like, listen, we're all the captains of our own destinies, but sometimes you don't know how to steer so good. I sound like I'm tattling on. He's doing it! He's captaining his destiny again! Mom, Paps is Paps is exerting his right to fight against the uninterminable passage of time known as predestination. Mods, that guy, that guy is gaining. That guy is gaining a free will. Okay, I think that last one was gold mine. I think mods, he's gaining free will is like is banger. There we go. I'm trying to avoid making it look like the bodysuit has pinstripes, but there's only so much I can do. Pinstripes are such a tricky thing because, like, inherently they're very stylish and cool, but they don't look great on everybody. Seth's formal bodysuit. Yeah, no. They have like a bunch of these in their closet and are like, pinstripes are the houndstooth for tonight. God, a houndstooth bodysuit would look so fucking ugly, but the idea is very compelling. Just in awe thinking about the houndstooth bodysuit. To be honest, myself as well. Alright, and there we go. There's that. As accurately as I can make them. Without like their iconic colors. My actual tablet pen almost rolled off my desk just now, and I feel like it's almost an act of rebellion seeing me do traditional art. What is the worst possible pattern to make a bodysuit from? Houndstooth is only like medium tier on the list. I feel like we could do worse than Houndstooth bodysuit. Somebody's getting jealous? That's what I'm saying. Actually, I know what might be helpful first is finding a good pose. Let's see, what else I got? I could try to go to that Pose Maniacs website. Actually, that's not a half bad idea. Hang on. Let me try something. Let's see. Wait, hang on. Hang on. Pose Maniacs has a site called New Jobs. Pose Maniacs is a good name. I'm saying. I've been saying. Hang on. Let me bring something up real quick. Yeah, right, hang on. That's not the right page. Let's try this. There we go. Yeah, New Jobs. Hang on. What the? I don't know if I have the qualifications to apply for these ones, sadly. Work style remote. I mean, maybe I do have the qualifications. Hang on. What's this one about? Translate selection in English. Official copyrighted character production, character design, costume design, item and weapon design, avatar and super deformed character production, background drawing, background art setting, etc. What's the pay like? Translate selection to English. The remuneration for outsourcing will be consulted by case. Okay, all right. No. Mama raised me better than to to negotiate with that kind of thing. But yeah, Pose Maniacs is very good. Oh, hey, there's like muscle references too. Oh, there's face references as well. Hang on, that might be helpful. The other day, I found like this one Flickr website data dump that somebody made that had like 1,000 pictures in a folder. I've been meaning to work through that for face practice. Handstanding, sports, walking. Walking might be nice. Pushing. Yo! What's going on here? Sitting on chair, pulling, ballet, throwing, sat, twisting neck. I think you're twisting a little bit more than your neck here, if I'm being fully honest. Yoga. This is not yoga, bro. Crossing arms. Crossing arms might be nice. Raising arm. There are so many of these are just JoJo poses. It's kind of pissing me off a little bit. Let's try and see some standing poses too. Also, what's this business about courses, huh? All of these are in Japanese. That might make it difficult to work with. Let's just take a peek at this one, right? Translate selection to English. When a person poses, the limbs of the body pull the fabric of the clothes in different directions. At this time, the one point of the body pulling the cloth is the anchor point. The tension line is a tension line with the cloth straight and pinned to the connected two anchor points of the human body, figure 9.4. Normally, the tension line runs between 2 points on the human body, but the gravity that pulls down the clothes may be the second anchor point. That sounds about right. What else you got? Really stretching the limits of what I would call standing in some of these. Or was this pointing? No, these are standing. Oh, actually, this one's cute. Depending on how this musculature doll looks like, I might have to censor this page while I'm... Yeah, no, there's a nipple there. I don't think I can use this one on screen. But off screen, however, I could do as I please. A little... I mean, I understand why they included the nipple. Banished from the Jumbotron. Sadly, yeah, we... Unlike more adventurous Jumbotrons, we don't permit the showing of nipples here too much. I mean, think about it. When have I shown nipple? Almost never, right? Actually, I don't think I have ever shown nipple. That feels weird. I feel like I've shown nipple at some point. There's a Jumbotron showing nipples. Point me in that direction. Actually, she's a little wider than this. Wider than that. There we go. It is fun when I can just straight up say wider than that, and it is fully accurate. Love it when that happens for me. Probably not great if you're like in tunnel construction. You don't want to hear wider than that when you're doing tunnel construction, because like you've spent the last 5-6 days maybe just excavating this site, and you know you're not exactly like, you know, you would call yourself the hardworking type, but these hours have been long and the tunnel's really hard, and like your drill is about to break, and like your fucking chump of a custom client is like, nah, it needs to be wider than that. I mean, granted, if they ask for wider, you can do wider. It's a pain in the ass, but you can do wider. The worst is when they're like, now it's too wide. Because now what are you supposed to do? You've already excavated you can't unwiden the tunnel unless you start installing like wooden planks and shit, and that's not your job. That's a carpenter guy. Alright, that's a carpenter's responsibility. The fuck do you know about wooden planks? I already started the tunnel. What do you mean wider? Having my tunnel because of my indecisive client. You briefly have to like do some sorcery to rotate the tunnel so that the hole is facing upwards now, and you have to just like pour concrete in a very precise way down the side. And you're like hiring a wizard doing this and being like, fuck man, I knew I should have gone into like building boxes and shit. I suppose it's very sassy. Alright, I need to close my window. Hold up, this is getting egregious. Stop fucking beeping! I can I'm sorry if the beeping is coming through. Hang on. Wrong window, wrong window, wrong window. Hang on. Sorry about that, but there were some clowns outside my house. They were throwing their little funny noses at my window like rocks in a teen movie where like they're holding a jukebox outside your window and they're throwing rocks at your window to get your attention. They were doing that, but with like their squeaking noses. I didn't know those came off. I thought those were parts of their bodies, but they just like instantly regrew one. Very disturbing sight. I hope I don't have to see that again anytime soon. Let's try working with simpler shapes. Oh, hello everybody. Hey Cypress, how you doing? Hang on. Slash shout out. Sepulchre Tide. Buggy the Clown is the way he is for a reason. I thought that was just a him thing. I didn't know all clowns could do that. Doing all right? How's it going? Good, good. How was South of Midnight? Did you make some good progress? What a crazy good game. South of Midnight was crazy good this week. Beat the game. Congrats. Real good. Nice, nice. I'm glad to hear. We've been working on more index card art over here. Okay, I'm starting to realize that a downside of the stupidly shining light that I have, like in that direction, is that now I can't. Sometimes the pencil lines are a little hard to see. I didn't factor this into my equations. Was it short? I mean, the game. It's about like. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's a decent sized game for like the value that it brings. For the production quality of it. 12-ish hours long? Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, actually, maybe we should start with the hand. Okay, then over here. And then this one's gonna come in like this. Nice hands. Thank you. Okay, then over here. I don't know if it was the best decision to make the folds right now, but we will see. We will see. There was this variation on the phrase "measure once, cut twice." No, wait, hang on. I fucked it up. I fucked that up big time. Measure twice, cut once. There was a variation on that phrase that it was like measure never, cut forever. And I really like it. I don't know. It speaks to me in ways. Okay, this hand is gonna go like this. The extreme version of just do it. My philosophy. God, yeah. But yeah, no. Measure once, cut twice is absolutely the thing that they're telling you not to do in that phrase. I don't know. That one feels egregious. I don't know. Measure once, cut twice. I feel like I think I know why it is because I think of it as like do it once or like because one comes before two, right? And also critically, you normally measure before you cut. So I think what ends up happening is that because I'm like, okay, first I measure and then I cut, but then it's like, okay, first comes one and then comes two. I think what ends up happening is like my brain gets confused and I end up going like measure once, cut twice. I don't know. Most of the time, I understand why my brain makes a goof, but sometimes when I don't understand why, it piques my curiosity even more. Like, why did I say that? Okay, and then a little bit of nose here. Just let the valve loose, brother. God. I do think I've become much better at like being lucid when I stream. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a long time ago, back when I was doing this more than once a week, I feel like it really was just like losing the valve. Like I would just say random shit into the microphone and people would just plus to me. And that worked great for a while, but like I think since I've cut back on it, I have to. It like doesn't come as naturally, the actions. I don't know. It's more meditative as a hobby. Contemplative. I guess that's one way of saying it. But yeah, no, I can't let my scalp show in the camera frame, or else people are gonna see my bald spot, and then it's gonna be over for me. They're gonna know my weak spot. Yeah, Neil has a little choker. Shiny weak spot, yeah. My one reversed scale. I need to hang on. I need to find a reference of Meow's mascot character, Pistachio. There he is. All right. Completely freehand Pistachio, just like God intended. Freehand Pistachio sounds like the name of like a really good ska band. Okay. Oh man, this one's gonna be a toughie. I don't. Okay, I'm going to need to just count the number of stripes that are out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, I might have made the curve a little bit too strong on that one. Measure never, cut forever. Measure never, cut forever. Go, go, go. No, shit. Okay, wait, no, that one actually doesn't work. Fuck, how many lines was I on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fuck it, that works. Measure never, cut forever. Measure never, cut forever. Control A. I can't control A, Cage. What's how you doing, man? Good to see you here. Check it with my heroin dealer. God, check it up on your tab at the heroin store. Hey, that's good to hear. I'm glad. Should you do heroin lines? I think that's cocaine. Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't know. I assume that most people who talk about drugs have more experience than I do with them. Like I'm definitely one of those people that's like, okay, if this person talks about drugs at all, they are probably in a higher tier of knowledge than me. Okay, we'll take care of the rest of the lines on this one once we And we'll correct one of those, one of the pinstripes? That's not a pinstripe, actually. It's like a, I think that's just a stripe. We are unfortunately novices on this subject together. God. Ridiculously funny. God. Guy who doesn't do drugs, but like they just know a lot about them. I feel like that is actually that has to be like at least one or two people on Earth, right? Like there has to be somebody who's like straight edge but knows like the exact way. Like I'm talking like there absolutely has to be some kind of Walter White type motherfucker running around that just knows a lot about like the production, measurement, and imbibing of imbibing isn't the right word. I think you don't imbibe most drugs, but you know, like the intake of most drugs, but like doesn't actually like do any of them, has zero interest. If you so much as like suggest that they do, they just like flip out and like, how dare you, sir? Fanfic author. Pharmacist. Listen, you go down a lot of specific... Listen, you don't have to justify that to me. I've been down some strange rabbit holes. I thought I was going to get in trouble looking up how many nuclear warheads were active on Earth. Because of some stuff I was looking up for something I wanted to write. How many nuclear warheads? Heroin is typically injected, usually into a vein, but can also be snorted, smoked, or inhaled. Huh, thank you, Jupiter. How many nuclear warheads? There were like a lot. Like way more than there should be. Hang on. Let me I had it written down here. As of 2024, there are approximately 3,880 active nuclear warheads in the world, including partially dismantled or stored weapons, which could probably be brought back to operating condition. The total number is 15,999, or about 16,000. Oh, I have that written down because like I was writing down a faction whose whole thing is like they're a Sentai group that essentially works to disarm nuclear warheads, and they brought that number from 16,000 to like 44, unaccounted for. The world will never be safe. For my finals this week, I had a monster and a sour gun and eat worms for lunch. Oh, you need a sandwich, bunny. Get yourself a sandwich, a nice sandwich. Yeah, no, 16,000 is a lot. Sorry, Andor, glad to say my first thought was Pabs getting strapped to the warhead. I'm gonna be like that one fucking... Hang on. Hang on, with your help, we can lower that number. Legalize nuclear bombs? Not my first idea of how to lower that number, but you know what? If it works, it works. No, I don't actually mean that. Hang on. There's something that I gotta put on the Jumbotron real quick. You get blown up a lot and whatnot. I do participate in things of that nature, yeah. Hang on. Y'all know this picture, right? This is like a regular Tuesday afternoon to me. This happens to me every Tuesday. All right. Let's get rid of that thing. We were doing some serious things. We were locked in. We were focused, and then we got to talking about nuclear warheads, and then it all blew up. Appropriately enough. But yeah, no. The idea behind the nuclear warheads thing was to have like a Sentai team in the post-apocalypse whose whole thing was disarming nuclear bombs. Well, as it is, the world has no need for nuclear weapons. Ooh, this one's kind of saucy, yeah? Right? Nuclear deterrence is such a weird fucking subject because half of it is like, how can we disarm nuclear bombs? And the other half is like, how can we have as many nuclear bombs accessible as possible at any time whatsoever? And I remember there being like something called like the three-prong approach or something where like you have access to like nukes on air, land, and sea, and that's apparently supposed to help nuclear deterrence because if you have it more accessible, then other people won't get funny ideas. I'm like, are we sure that's how that works? In any case, the statistic that I gave earlier is just a number of nukes that are more or less accounted for. The exact number is unknown. Which is not a comforting thought. Next line of index cards is people feeling themselves and or screaming, crying, throwing up, etc. while strapped to a variety of explosives. Feeling myself on a bomb. God. I will say, being able to do some Slim Pickens type shit and ride a bomb is definitely not a great idea, but like it must feel kind of boss, right? Like, there's probably no instances on Earth where, like, that has happened as a real thing. But it looks like it would feel really cool to do. Getting a little cunty with it while I throw some dynamite. My level 5 courier dealing with some powder gangers. Kind of a person who hits a Shelley Duvall while strapped to a warhead versus kind of person who hits a Shelley Duvall, the Shining, while in peril. We all know that one image with the purple fit, right? Hang on. Oh, wait, hang on. I think I know the one that looks like a patchwork quilt, right? Hang on, I think I know that one. Yeah, the one where she looks like she's JoJo posing. Purple fit. Hang on. I'm putting it up on the jumbotron. This one, right? God, what a gorgeous picture. Like, all of it is so nice. Like, just the way the outfit is flung as well. Right? Like, you can kind of see it curving upwards. There has to be, like, you could probably draw a, what do you call, golden spiral around this. Yeah, with the boots too, it's really good. And the hair. Yeah, even just the tights are really good. Very nice little fit. The color. Maybe just around here. Maybe it's a little bit too much meat on the arm bone. God, I remember way back when I watched this one dude play Danganronpa 2, and like during one of the gameplay segments, he had to spell out meat on the bone, and for some reason, this poor sap just was never able to get meat on the bone. Like it wasn't a term that he was familiar with. Like he tried on the bone meat, he tried the meat bone. Yeah, on bone the meat. He tried everything. Bro was at that shit for like an hour until he finally finally fucking pieced it together. It's like meat on the bone. Streamer brain is a real debuff. Like that shit will have you struggling to remember meat on the bone. Bone the meat. I saw this happen to 3 English speakers, so it's not just him. God. And like it's fair too, right? Well, the thing is, this wasn't a live stream. This guy was like a proper YouTuber. He recorded his gameplay first and like dubbed it over. He he showed his struggle with it for the love of the game. Corn on the bone instead of corn on the cob. It is a little funny, but like, you know how earlier I was talking about like how your brand is like what people are able to piece together about you using like what the pieces you give them. That's why like I try to never like call myself, I don't call myself dumb or like stinky or anything like that. Some people do, and if that's the dynamic that works for them, that's awesome. But I try doing that avoid doing that for myself because I don't like how the kind of vibe that it gives. I don't like the puzzle piece that it produces for the viewer. And so what I'm saying is that like, yeah, no, the struggler. Like, listen, I respect the struggle in so many circumstances and ways, but sometimes you kind of gotta think to yourself and be like, is it right to show this part of the struggle? Do I have to thug it out? Is it the better idea to thug it out? And sometimes I think the answer is yes. Maybe the leg's a little bit thicker than that. Nice, okay. Lighting the board, here we go. God, I really gotta angle my head in a weird position just so the glare stops fucking with the pencil lines that I can see. There we go. Okay, and then the belt is going to come in over here. This guy has painted nails, so I'm going to fill those in while I'm working with the micro pens. Okay, and then the hair is just going to come in like this. I love little Frankenstein lines like that. I like the idea of clearly being able to see like where somebody's sewn together. Okay, and then over here. Yes, it's all coming together. Nice, okay. It's alive! Yeah, that's exactly the kind of feeling that I love. I don't know, they can communicate a lot of different things. They can communicate like, you know, somebody was like through a lot and then stitched back together, or they can communicate, okay, this person's literally not supposed to be alive anymore, but somehow they are. You know, it's got a lot of illusions. It's got Frankenstein illusions. It's got like Night of the Living Dead zombie illusions. It's got a lot. Very versatile little visual signifier. All right. We have one more card left from this particular deck, and we need to go back and redo Mielita. So I think we do one more ink, one more pencil plus ink, and then we go back and start shading the last two we did. And that'll be it for tonight. Holy... The line of action on this guy is actually crazy. Like, take a look at that. I just got a cool idea. A choker that looks like stitches around your neck. That would go pretty hard. But yeah, check this out. Like, you've got the curve, you've got the line jutting out like this. Holy shit. Not a particularly comfortable looking stance to be reading a book from, but you know what? For the fashion, I got it. You do it for the fashion. Okay, who am I drawing with a mop? who wants to get it with a mop? Who wants to be out here with who wants to be out here with the fire extinguisher? This is so funny. These are just like such menial jobs, but not unimportant ones. Actually, wait, no, I need to figure out who I'm drawing first. Me extinguishing this in a way. God. That's right, we support all workers. Glory to the working class. We're like a whole week late to May Day, but that's okay. Okay, which pose should I go with right now? Actually, I got to think of it. We didn't finish taking a look through that Pose Maniacs catalog. Let's take a quick peek at that. I have a couple people in here, actually. Ah, man, remember Vex? Actually have their picture here. Let me find a pose for Vex. This one looks nice and devious. You know what? I was gonna point out earlier that, like, you know, when I mentioned, like, oh no, there's nipples, we can't show this, and like, I was gonna make a joke right now where, like, to avoid doing a double standard, I would like quickly tab out and be scandalized. But this guy doesn't have any nipples. Bro forgot his nipples at home. What the hell? He doesn't have nipples, he's nippless. That's a damn tragedy. Hang on, what is this on my... Oh, it's one of those things. It's... I don't know, that's weirding me out. Ma'am, doesn't your husband have nipples? I do think that's one of the funniest audios ever. It's like, have you heard that audio where it's like a person, a rather uninformed person going to like a veterinarian visit and being like, my cat has like these weird growths on him, and the veterinarian looks at him and it's like, those are his nipples, those are perfectly normal, and they're like, no, but he's a boy cat though. Like, ma'am, doesn't your husband have nipples? The auto-tuned voice is very good. Yeah, the stress of the poor worker. I think that plus the auto-tune is what really elevated it, you know? I don't know. We use special effects in some cases to create things that would not be possible in real life. But I don't think we use it enough to like emphasize things beyond what would be possible in real life. Like sometimes you do talk and it sounds like you're speaking with like bolded letters. You can't, but it's not easy to do that on command. That shit has to come from the heart. But yeah, the auto-tuned voice was excellent. Hmm. Hang on, I gotta redo a little bit of the sketch. I feel like I need to start trying to draw stuff from the bottom down, because I feel like that way I have a much better grasp of the proportions. Alright, bottom down, huh? I hope Vax is doing alright. I haven't heard from them in a hot minute. Knowing someone online and then they just don't log on forevermore afterwards is such a complicated feeling, because, like, you know, part of you are like, oh gosh, what happened to them? Did they die? But the other part of them is like, oh, they finally unplugged. They made it out. They found an escape. Good for them. I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot, right? Like, if it came to a situation where I needed to, you know, severely rethink the balance of my life and have to, like, fully unplug, you know, just whatever time I'm not spending working or sleeping, I'm doing, like, I don't know, yoga or a spin class or something. I like completely become someone who has unplugged from the wide web. Like, obviously you could adapt to it, but I do wonder if I'll ever find anything that'll, like, motivate me to do that. Because I think even if you leave stuff behind, right, it probably has to be because you found something that's even more meaningful to you. Well, that's probably not a present risk for the time being. I'm happy as I am. Well, that's not entirely true. I could always be better. But I'm happy enough as I am. I think they have, like, shackles on their hands. So, hang on. Probably something like that. The outfit isn't very complicated, so I think I can get away with mostly just this and just a random blob for the hair. The work. Hang on. Where do I start with this? The feet would... No, hang on. Let's not say the feet would probably be a good place to start. The feet would be an appropriate place to start. It pisses me off so much that feet jokes are so common. Right? Like, It's not even that I'm necessarily against having a thing for feet per se, but I think, like, the prevalence of it has just gotten to me. Like now, like nowadays, whenever the topic of feet comes up, you have to like do a big disclaimer and be like, "Oh, but don't worry, I don't mean it that way." Like everybody is such a like it's become such a go-to weird pervert thing that it's actually kind of annoying now whenever it comes up. Like somebody will be doing a model reveal and they'll be like, all right, I'll show you what you've been waiting for, the feet. Let's start with the feet. Don't be weird about the feet." I'm like, would you please just put the model in the bag? Enough about the feet. I forgot you don't have redeems anymore, but have you drank some water or stretched? I'm not feeling too thirsty just yet, but I should probably stretch a little bit, huh? It's important to do so when you're working with more traditional art. Weirdly enough, something that I found is that I don't feel a lot of tension on this hand, the writing hand, but I feel it's like hard as a rock on this hand. And I don't know why. I think I might have been like putting too much tension here. Doing some crazy jutsu, that's right. I remember I used to do this thing where I would just like hold my hands like this. And like I would like dare somebody to try to break them apart and they just couldn't because like it's just such a good grip you've got on there. Sometimes when I move my hand like this, I do feel like I'm just some fucking Elder Scrolls character. Like I'll be like, ooh. Like you know what I mean? Like I know it's not great to be like being like just like video game for everything in your life, but sometimes I don't know, like you don't even think about like certain hand motions or movements until like you see them in animations, I think. I do believe that part of the power of art is that if you see an extreme enough animation, or like if you see something done in a specific way, it makes you think about how you do it. You know, like you're almost like subconsciously copying it. It reminds me of that one discussion about like the something or other walk. You know, like after you watch a movie and you really enjoy it or it changes you in certain ways, you do like the movie walk. Like the example they gave in this particular instance was the Shrek walk. That is the walk you do after you see the DreamWorks 1999 feature animated film Shrek. I don't know. I feel like they're related concepts, but not necessarily directly related. Oh no, that's a tangent. Whatever. It is killing me that back in the day you could just name a character fucking anything. Like I remember reading the Great Expectations book for high school, right? And one of the characters is called Miss Havisham. And you know, the whole thing on her name is that it's like almost like a play on the phrase having is a sham. So Miss Havisham, Havisham, have is sham, Havisham. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. I never saw the movie version of the book. Probably Havisham is correct. But yeah, you could just name them fucking anything. And subtlety is a tool for cowards, really. But it is crazy that she was just walking around with such an Ace Attorney-ass name. Like, did Charles Dickens know he was giving a character an Ace Attorney name? We can continue to name characters stupid things. We should all do so to at least one OC. I feel like I do name my OCs stupid things, but like I do it with the intention of making it sound cool. Like, I'll be like, hell yeah, this name rips, but it'll probably like somebody else will see it and they'll be like, what the fuck is this name? And that's not a bad thing. I think being able to like give characters like very chuny names that don't make a lot of sense is necessary for your skills as a writer to progress. Because I think in some regards it tests your suspension of disbelief. You know, like, are you able to care about this character who has a stupid name? Like, even if the character has a stupid name, are you able to make the reader care about it? And I think if the answer is yes, then you're absolutely doing something right. Okay, then over here. Oh no, I do see a little bit of bleeding on the paper there, but that's fine. Again, I gotta stop saying that. You makes me think of the Gundam names. I think it was Gundam. Yeah, that's absolutely Gundam. Where the showrunners are like, let's see if the executives are watching the show, and the names just got more and more extreme. Yeah. I do think they would have said something at a guy running around called Quadruple Pussy, but you know, why not? Tomino made them $1 Gundam million, so why should they mistrust his judgment? I don't know. I do think that the stupidity of Gundam names has almost matured in its own way. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, yes, you have some very silly ass names. Like, you've got the fucking Zagok as one of the, like, the main frontlighters. You've got the Rick Dom as, like, one of the main bad guys. It's fucking killing me that the original Gundam's name is, like, the RX-78 or some shit like that. Like, why does everything else have such a stupid fucking name? Well, no, I guess it's probably just the Xeon ships that have a stupid fucking name, huh? They deserve to have stupid ass names for being space Nazis. I don't give a fuck. Fuck fascism. even made up fictional space fascism. Fuck it. Sounds like something Elon Musk would name his kid. Oh god, if he somehow has another child and calls the child Char Aznable, we gotta start fucking doing some shit. We gotta rename that child immediately. We have to ensure that that child is also transgender, so the child changes their name. That or it ends with Banco Namdai suing his ass, which I would also take at this point, honestly. Any victory is a victory, you know what I mean? All right. But you know, the well of stupid Gundam names is deep. I will say some of them go hard though. Like even if it is kind of a silly ass name, calling like the biggest baddest mech that the bad guys have produced to date, the Big Zam, is kind of a hardcore name. I don't know. The Big Zam is a powerful name. That's Zam with a C, by the way, not Sam like the normal name Sam. Big Zam. I think I'm gonna be Big Zam. Big Zam, motherfucker. I never watched Game Grumps or like, you know, Two Best Friends Play or anything like that. I think I must have seen the memes or like the redraws of like the clips from those shows, but I've never really watched it myself. I think I was a sensitive little lad and their jokes were like too mean sometimes. From what I understand, I didn't miss out on... I missed out on a big cultural moment, but not much on the personalities themselves. Which, you know, it is what it is. Happens a lot these days. What's another dumb Gundam name that I really like? Tall Geese is really good. I really like the name Tall Geese. What does a goose need to be so tall for? Alright, time to draw a bunch of little stitch lines. Love the little stitch texture. Honestly, me, that sounds like a total war machine, and I don't know why, right? That's the thing with like stupid Gundam names, is that some of them do sound like things you genuinely don't want to fight. Like if I was in like a random ass mech setting, and you know I'm in my fucking GMC Everest or whatever the fuck, right? And the guy I'm fighting is on something called like the Xeon Tall Geese. I'm being like, can I fight somebody else? I don't want to fight the Tall Geese guy. I don't know. I think it's because of our association with geese as like violent animals that it's kind of like a name you want to run away from a little bit. Like Geese Howard, for example. Geese Howard is a perfectly normal name, but like I can so easily picture it being like the guy from the SNK games, right? Like I can so easily picture some insane Japanophile white guy who can shoot energy beams from his hand as Howard Geese. Or Geese Howard, I suppose. Like I said, it's a lot about how seriously you yourself take your names. Because I think like if they had been like, yeah, get a load of this guy, his name's Geese Howard. You know, I think like if they had taken like that route, obviously it'd be a lot harder to take the name Geese Howard seriously. But he is the scariest motherfucker ever. So you know, you put some respect on that fucking name. Gonna go and run an errand, so good luck the rest of your stream. Thank you. I hope your errand goes smoothly. Thanks for stopping by. You know, I'm not thinking about feeding ducks at the park. I'm thinking this guy's gonna hit me with a predictable and throw me across the screen. I haven't actually No, that's not true. I've loaded up King of Fighters 13 for like 15 minutes to try it out. I think I was trying to tap. I was drinking. I remember exactly when I was. I tried King of Fighters 13 or 14 or 15 or whichever one. I remember exactly when I tried it and the circumstances under which I tried it, because I remember it was because I finally found a malt soda, which are very common in South America. I got myself a malt soda. I'm like, you know what? Let's reconnect with my Latino heritage and fire up King of Fighters. And so I fired up King of Fighters, and I got extremely tripped up doing like the drunk old man's combos. And you know, I was trying out a few different characters. I was trying out the drunk old man. I was trying out K Dash because I thought he looked hard. I was trying out like the Ice Girl. I was trying out a whole bunch of different people, and I still didn't figure that shit out. From everything that David's been talking about in V's server, the SNK game series as a whole have a very different, I'm going to use the word mouthfeel to them than other fighting games. And I can kind of see what he means by that now. And that's probably why I'm never going to tap into City of the Wolves. The malt soda wasn't strong enough, yeah. I felt the call of my Latino heritage, but that motherfucker wasn't picking up. Alright, I'm going to try something rather daring. Left you on voicemail and got your ass kicked. Alright, I'm going to try using the brush pen on the thigh highs. So far, so good. The brush pen makes me nervous for fine details, but for stuff like this, it's fine. Did you play a lot of KOF when you were young? No, that was the first time I booted it up, which is probably why I was struggling with it. I wasn't really a fighting game kid. I mean, I played Smash Bros, of course, but I was definitely more of like a single-player game kind of kid. Yeah, well, yeah, no, you you can't really blame the Latino heritage failing on me when I haven't even picked up the game ever. It's cool though. I made Faust an honorary Latino, so that's fine. Uh, I'm doing it well enough in Strive, a game which I haven't played in 3 months. Actually, hang on. I gotta check something. Okay, no, that's not showing up on the back. That's perfect. There we go. As long as you carry throwing random bullshit out in your heart. That's true. Listen, when I fall into a panic and start button mashing, that's not me fucking up. That's me obeying the random bullshit go spirit that all Faust players have. Oh, actually, you know what would look kind of nice if I did a little bit of a hair shine right there. There we go. I was about to shake the brush pen, but I don't think that does anything. I don't think it has that kind of mechanism. Okay, and then over here, perfect. Perfect. All right, that's another one down. Just gotta let that dry off. This is a good pace, I feel like. I think like maybe 1 or 2. Well, no, this isn't 1 or 2. This is like... Actually, how many is this? Have we done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 per stream feels like a good pace. Yeah, no, but it is very much a situation of like, you call it button mashing, I call it listening to my heart. Listening to the heart of the controller, the heart of the cards. Ay, ay, ay. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna use the paintbrush marker on this part too. Okay, and then over here. Since this arm is tinted a slightly different color, I'm gonna give it a slight hatch to represent that. I do find it so fascinating what the dynamics of rendering hair are in traditional art, because I feel like with the hatching especially, it just feels so much easier compared to the kind of way that I have to do it, because in this one I can just use the way that I know the strands fall as a way to shade it, and that works. It's an odd feeling. Okay, and then cross this up because it has a checkerboard pattern. There was a brief time in my life where I was obsessed with checkerboard patterns because I associated them very strongly with ska. And they are associated with ska. But I was like trying to like get checkerboard pattern shoes, belt, what have you. I don't think I was ready to jump into that end of the pool. You know, some things need to be taken care of with time. They require a careful investment of your soul. And honestly, I think in the end, checkerboard patterns just weren't for me. I do still really like ska, though. So, you know, not all things change. Is there anything else that I'm missing in this one? I think just shading the eyebrows. Yeah, I think that's it for this one. Not bad. Or actually, hang on, there is one thing I want to do. Just right here. Perfect. Let's show these two close together. I think they're coming along pretty nice. Well, actually, no, they're not coming along. Wait, no, I need to do the checkerboard pattern. Hang on. We're not done. In my haste, I forgot the checkerboard pattern belt. Let's use a 0-1 for this one. Okay, one by one. I will say, even though they've fallen out of favor with my own personal fashion sense, there's something very therapeutic about drawing. Well, I guess this is true of any repeating pattern. But especially of like drawing stuff like checkerboard belts and such. There we go. Also, I did very much forget to make one of these a belt loop, so that's going to be a... There we go. I think they both came out very nice. I did miss some strawberry pips. Here. There we go. Okay, that's it for those two. Now for the last one of the night. I need to be very careful to not smudge that part that I just added. What was I thinking? No smudge. Let's go. Okay, where is Vex's rough sheet? I do regret not doing more art of some of the people that I know when they were more active. Like I said, I don't know what Vex has been up to recently, although I'm sure that they're living virtuously and having fun. Well, if nothing else, I'm sure they're having fun. But I do hope they're having a good time. For some reason, the ink bleed on this one is really bad. I wonder what's up with that. Virtue and Fun are more like siblings slapping at each other. Yeah. There's this one Nightcore post that I saw where they were saying something like, purity isn't a virtue for everyone, but we all do our best. I'm like, hashtag real. I forgot to draw the foot shackles. Okay, just very tightly clustered hatching. And you know what? Let's do some cross hatching in there too. Why not? The cool thing about knowing how to shade metal to some extent in digital art is that I know how to shade it to some extent in traditional art as well. Nice. They look a little bit more werewolfy than ghost-like like this, but good enough. They're both, at the end of the day, supernatural creatures. Although I do need to thin out this line a little bit now. Hang on. Okay, that should do it. Or actually, hang on. There, that's good. Cute, I like how the pose turned out. Alright, and that's gonna be it for today. I think we've done some great work. Is anybody streaming tonight? That's probably a good thing to look into right now. Let's see. Hi, Rennie J is streaming. I followed her recently. She's doing some very interesting... I don't know, I like the vibes of her stream. Let's go say hi. Alright, in the meantime, thanks to everybody who came by. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great weekend. Tomorrow is Friday. Yeah, have a good end of the week. Talk to you later. Bye.